Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. I want to talk a little bit about Arkansas, okay? And outside of Arkansas, this is going to start as an Arkansas conversation, but I'm going to bring it full circle. And what I would say is this. It's that time of year. Rosters are starting to get finalized. As we just discussed, the schedule is coming out. And I think everybody's starting to kind of put together, okay, this would be my Final Four. These are the teams that are in this tier. These are the teams that are in that tier. Then everybody's asking me, hey, Torres, what do you think of my team? What do you think of this team? What do you think of that team? And more importantly, like, who's going to be a factor next year? And really, in my opinion, so I've been covering college basketball for like 12, 15 years, whatever. I'm getting old. A lot of grays coming in on the side here. You can't see them. But I've been covering college hoops for a long time and really been watching the sport for like 30 plus years, okay? And so I only bring it up because, in my opinion, when you start talking about teams that are legitimately good enough to win a national championship, there are two things that you need. Take out next year, last year, 20 years ago, whatever. You need two things. One, you just need a baseline level of NBA talent. If you don't have 2, 3, 4 guys that are going to play in the league, history says you're not winning the national championship. Like, it's just the truth. Florida this year, Walter Clayton is going to be a first-round pick. Alex Condon might be a first-round pick this year. You got a couple of the younger guys that will one day be NBA guys. That Thomas Hawk kid is going to get drafted at some point. UConn obviously had 4 guys drafted off of last year's team. The UConn team the year before had 2 players drafted, Final Four MVP signs as a free agent, and oh, by the way, you have a couple guys that end up getting drafted a year later. So NBA talent is a baseline one. And then 2, I think what history tells us is that you need experience and you need returning experience on your team. Every single year we get, and I include myself, we spent all April talking all things portal. But history tells us the best teams are going to be the teams that return a bunch of talent, a bunch of players, have NBA players, but also you need you need guys that have been in the system, been in the program, know the coach, whatever. Look at college basketball this year. Florida, Walter Clayton was back. The whole front court was back. Elijah Martin comes in, but outside of him, who's the other kid? Will Richard comes back. Auburn basically returned their whole team except for Tahad Pettiford. Houston returned 4 starters this year. By the way, Tennessee makes an Elite 8. They returned 3, 4 stars. So you look at college basketball, NBA talent and returning talent. And by the way, that's not just my opinion, and here's why. Because Evan Mia put out this tweet after the Final Four that I thought was interesting that's going to set up what I want to talk about next. He said that in the portal era, every national champion has had over 50% of its minutes played returning. Florida had over 70% this year, UConn 61% last year, 53% the year before, Kansas 81%. And he said roster continuity is as important as ever. Well, I solely bring that up because the last couple days I saw a stat that boggled my mind. It was from the CBK Report Twitter, and you could go ahead and pop that one up, producer Matt, because how about this? These are the teams that are projected to return the most minutes at the power conference level next season. Purdue's number 1. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. They're just not a program that produces one and dones. Even early NBA guys, Edey left with a year of eligibility, but for the most part, most of their guys stay for 4 years. I know Jaden Ivey, but you get the point. Number 2, the projected most returning minutes in all of power conference basketball. This will blow your mind. It is the Arkansas Razorbacks. John Calipari, Mr. Retention. How about John Calipari, Mr. Retention? And so it brings up the very simple question to me. Are we underrating Arkansas going into next year? Because we know they have NBA talent. They're also returning as much as anybody not named Purdue. And I'm telling you, I think we're underrating them. I think we really are. Yeah, I'll say it. Can we stop the big pig invasion? I don't know. But I think you should be excited about this team. Let's go ahead and dive in because I think they might be a little bit under. I think it really lines up with what I've been saying about them all spring. First of all, I'll say this about Arkansas, okay? One, they were one of these teams, and we talked about it all spring, and it's been amazing to kind of see this all unfold. But I think more than anything, what this kind of shows to me is the fact that, while it's both shocking, but it isn't, okay? And why it's shocking is because it's John Calipari. I just said it. John Calipari never has the most returning guys. And so that's why it's shocking. John Calipari, Mr. Retention, most returning minutes by a mile in the SEC. By the way, that's assuming, of course, that Carter Knox is coming back. But it also, to me, isn't that surprising because it's what we've talked about since the start of the offseason. Every single day we were talking about this school gets this guy, that school gets that guy. North Carolina got this commitment. Kentucky gets that guy. Indiana gets this guy. And what did I keep saying? I kept saying the bottom line is that ultimately there were about 3 or 4 programs that, in my opinion, it was never going to be success and failure. This offseason was never going to be about how many guys did you get out of the portal. BYU was one, Purdue was one, UConn was one. And I said from the beginning, Arkansas was one. And it was funny because every time I said it, I'd say, Arkansas has a chance to return most of their best players. And everybody would say, what do you mean return their best players? Their best players were Boogie Flandin and Due Theroux. And what would I say every time? Say, statistically, they were. And they probably were the best players at various points. But when Arkansas played its best basketball, who were the difference makers? Who were the X factor guys? Who were the guys that were playing the best in the biggest games? And more importantly, the big games that Arkansas won. You already know who they were. It was Carter Knox. It was Billy Richmond. It was DJ Wagner. It was Trevin Brazile. They're all coming back. By the way, that's not my opinion. All you got to do, go back and watch the games. We talked about Carter Knox a minute ago. NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, Texas Tech. He was their leading scorer, 20 points. By the way, had 15 against St. John's. St. John's had no answer for him on the wing. Billy Richmond was actually the leading scorer against St. John's in the NCAA tournament, going to the round of 32, going into the Sweet 16. Trevin Brazile, go back and watch that game. Completely outplayed Hunter Dickinson. There was 2 or 3 plays late. Loose ball. Trevin Brazile gets to it, puts it back in, scores, bucket, ball game. He was the best player I don't know if he was the best player on the floor, but he had Hunter Dickinson like, the Wile E. Coyote, head spinning around. And then DJ Wagner. Everybody wants to criticize, but 24 points in the biggest regular season game of the year. Remember that regular season game? They needed to beat Mississippi State to go to the NCAA tournament to basically clinch an NCAA tournament spot. That was DJ Wagner that had the big game. And so these were the best players for Arkansas. And I think, like I said, it proves that, to me, they have a chance to be really special. Now, I'll say this. Like every team in college basketball, there isn't a team. There's not one team. Not Purdue, not UConn, not Kentucky, not Duke, not North Carolina. They have issues. They have questions, and Arkansas is no different. One, this stat is only good if Carter Knox ends up coming back. Now, as of right now, and I think we'll get a lot of clarity on this in the next probably week or so, I do expect Carter Knox to come back. And if Carter Knox comes back, we're talking about a team that is a potential, Carter Knox comes back, you're talking about a team that returns a ton of talent. And so I only bring it up to very simply say that, yes, this team has questions. Carter Knox, what's happening with him? By the way, you have the 2 5-star freshmen coming in, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. Both are best with the ball in their hands. You also have DJ Wagner. How does that work out? You also have to figure out three-point shooting. Not the best three-point shooting team in college basketball. Now, I think when you have 4 guards that can legitimately get to the rim anytime they want, DJ Wagner, Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, I would include Billy Richmond in that. I don't think it's as important to be a great three-point shooting team, but I only bring it up because they have questions like everybody else. By the way, the 2 big guys down low, Malik Ewan, Nick Pringle, were brought in to play a role. So my question is, everybody's bought into their role when they're being recruited in April and May and they're getting paid a lot of money in NIL. Are they going to be bought in January and February when the bullets are flying and maybe they're not putting up the stats or getting the minutes that they want? And so, yeah, on the one hand, Arkansas has questions. On the other hand, I'm just here to say that they check a very important box. What did the stat from Evan Mia say? Every champion, even in the portal era, returned at least 50% of its production, 50% of its minutes from a year ago. Arkansas is on pace to be about 60%, second most in the country behind Purdue. And so listen, is this a reason to start planning a celebration, start planning a parade, start planning a parade in May here for what could happen next March and April. No, of course not. But I keep going back to, I look at these rosters all off season, and on paper, Arkansas is the best one to me in the SEC. I would put Kentucky right there. And by the way, I'd be willing to reconsider Arkansas if Carter Knox does not come back. But even then, like I said, John Calipari is going to have a backup plan and a backup plan to a backup plan if that does not happen. But just want to say one last time, I think this team is really good. And I think this stat is maybe more telling than you think. Last week, we did our unboxing video with Tyson Chicken. Okay, so we mentioned that if you're an advertiser, you want your logo reaching literally millions of people a year. Probably when it's all said and done, tens of millions when you include social media impressions or whatever. Reach out, let me know, whatever. And I said, hey, Chicken Man, Tyson, go ahead and hit up Torres. Let's let you know. Well, obviously I think it was last week or the week before, Tyson sent us a very nice care package. We did an unboxing live. It was awesome. Been eating nothing but Tyson chicken. Well, I bring it up because I came home, a second box of Tyson gear arrived to me, including this very sweet Tyson chicken starter jacket. Now, the Tyson chicken jacket came with a personalized note. I don't want to share that on air, but I just want to thank the folks at Tyson yet again for taking care of Torres. Means a ton. Means a ton. It's great to know that this show, the people that it's reaching, the impact that it's having, and there's a lot of people in Arkansas. I think, frankly, a lot of people at Tyson headquarters that appreciate this. Again, don't want to share too many details, but I got this sweet Tyson starter jacket. I might have to wear the Tyson starter jacket every single time that we talk about Arkansas and the Chicken Man. But thank you again to Tyson for sending this. By the way, I am going to take this off only because it's like literally 90 degrees outside right now, and I might die before the end of the show. But thank you to Tyson. We might have to rock this every time we talk a little bit about Arkansas.